Hi friends, welcome. Today let's learn something about fundamental rights. Fundamental rights are included in Part 3 of the Constitution from Article 12 to Article 35, whereas in the Part 1, Union and its territories are included. In the Part 2 deals with the citizenship and the Part 3, the fundamental rights. Fundamental rights as such is very important for the examination point of view. It's very basic. If you learn very well, if the fundamental rights are learned thoroughly, it will be very useful in general studies paper 2, essay topics like governance issues, social issues, gender equality, rights-based issues, and other topics in the essays. And it is also very important for paper 4, that is ethics. Since this is very important, I am going to cover fundamental rights part in detail. So I am going to divide the topic into 5 parts. In the first part, I am going to cover the introduction. In the second part, I am going to cover right to equality, that is from Article 14 to 18. In the third part, right to freedom, that is from Article 19 to 22 will be covered. In the fourth part, Article from 23 to 30 will be covered, that is right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, cultural and educational rights. In the last and fifth part, the topics like significance of the fundamental rights, criticisms that are leveled against the fundamental rights, and some of the exceptions that are provided in the Constitution against the fundamental rights. So the first topic is introduction. As I mentioned earlier, fundamental rights are enshrined in Part 3 of the Constitution from Article 12 to Article 35. Our constitutional makers derived inspiration from Bill of Rights of the United States Constitution while designing the fundamental rights. It's also referred to as Magna Carta of India. Magna Carta was a charter of rights extended by the King of England in way back in 15 AD to his citizens as part of fundamental rights. That was the first known record of fundamental rights extended to the citizens of any society. And fundamental rights of our constitution are more elaborate than any other constitution in the world, and these are very much detailed in its interpretations. So first, what are fundamental rights? According to dictionary of Cambridge University, the word fundamental means forming the base from which everything else develops, more important than anything else. So you get the idea about fundamental rights. Fundamental rights are the base from which everything develops in case of an individual, and these are very basic and these are very important than any other rights for carrying out an dignified life. So fundamental rights are guaranteed by the Constitution itself to all the citizens without any discrimination. So there is no discrimination between the male and a female, or between one caste and the another, or one religion or the other, or from a person from one place to other, and everybody is treated as equal while extending the fundamental rights to its citizens. So they uphold the equality of all individuals. Dignity and unity of the individual are also promoted with the enforcement of fundamental rights in the Constitution of India. The main aim of fundamental rights is to promote idea of political democracy, and this political democracy prevents the dictatorship, authoritarianism, and despotic rule in any of the country, and it also protects the liberties and freedom of the people against the arbitrary governance of the country. For example, a political right, that is right to freedom of speech and expression, will act as a counterweight against the ill governance of the state. Citizens has the right to question the authority whenever it acts as a selfish organization. For example, Anna Hazare movement in 2 to 3 years back questioned the government intention to control corruptions. And fundamental rights are guaranteed by the Constitution itself, and they are enforced by the Supreme Court and High Courts. And they are fundamental because they are more essential for all-round development of an individual, either it may be in material or intellectual, moral or spiritual spheres. These are very fundamental for development of all these spheres of life. Basically, fundamental rights are divided into 6 types. The first one is right to equality, which are covered from Article 14 to 18, and right to freedom, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, cultural and educational rights, right to property, right to constitutional remedies. Whereas the sixth right, that is right to property, was removed by the 44th Constitutional Amendment Act 1978 by the Morarji Desai government, and it was made only a legal right under Article 300A. So there are 6 types of fundamental rights. They are right to be equal with everybody, irrespective of caste, sex, religion. Right to be free in case of speech and expression, forming associations. Right to move, right to practice its own professions. This is covered in second type of fundamental right. And right against exploitation, right to practice his own religion. And these are the fundamental rights guaranteed by the Constitution of India, which is helping India to thrive as a rich democracy. Still, India is now. Let's look about the features of the fundamental rights. There are some 8 to 10 features very important for the examination. So I am listing the point wise. And the first point is some of the fundamental rights are available only to the citizens, and some are extended to the citizens as well as the foreigners and also legal persons. Here, the legal person denotes the organizations like corporations, private companies, statutory corporations, municipalities, any organization are called legal persons. So some are available only to the citizens, and some are extended to all except enemy aliens. The second feature is they are not absolute. Absolute means unlimited. Constitution will not extend fundamental rights infinitely. There has to be a reasonable restrictions while practicing, while enjoying the fundamental rights. I will give you an example. Article 19 secures to citizens right to freedom of speech and expression. But that right to freedom of speech and expression should not promote the propaganda of untouchability that was abolished in Article 17, or should not promote or spread the hatred between one community and the another. That is against the communal harmony, which is the core of the Constitution of India. And it should not be against the unity and integrity of the country. Right to freedom of speech and expression will not allow the person to preach secession or separation from the country. So there are some restrictions, that is reasonable restrictions, are imposed while extending fundamental rights to the citizens. But what is reasonable, what is not reasonable, has to be decided by the courts. The Supreme Court strikes down unnecessary restrictions on the fundamental rights as unconstitutional. The next point is they are justiciable. Here, justiciable means it allows the citizens to move to the courts for enforcement of the fundamental rights. If any citizen, if fundamental rights of any citizen has been violated, he is free to approach the Supreme Court for its restoration. For example, if the state prohibits any person to express his views through media or through publication of any books which is reasonable, he can get remedy from the Supreme Court as a basic right. The next point is fundamental rights are defended and guaranteed by the Supreme Court. Hence, any of the victim or aggrieved party can directly approach the Supreme Court for restoration of his violated rights. In the way, he can move directly to the Supreme Court, not by the way of appeal from lower court to the higher courts, as we practice in case of ordinary laws. So they are guaranteed by the Supreme Court. The next point is they are not permanent. Parliament has the right to amend the Constitution as well as the fundamental rights. But the Supreme Court ruled in 1973 that the constitutional amendments has to be in conformity with the basic structure of the Constitution. They should not amend the basic feature of the Constitution like secularism, that is right to religion, right to practice his own religion, belief, faith. So Supreme Court puts restriction on the Parliament, but Parliament is empowered to amend the Constitution as well as the fundamental rights as long as they are in the public interest and which do not alter the basic structure of the Constitution. The next point is fundamental rights can be suspended during operation of national emergency, but Article 20 and 21 cannot be suspended at any cost. Article 21, that is right to life and personal liberty, is very much essential even during the case of emergency. So the 20 and 21 cannot be suspended. Whereas Article 19 can be suspended only in case of national emergency, war on external aggression, not on the grounds of armed rebellion. Here, national emergency, there are two kinds. One is proclaimed on the basis of, on the grounds of war or external aggression, and second type is proclaimed on the grounds of armed rebellion. that is internal disturbance. For example, if some take the case of Naxals wages war within India and it goes out of control, center can proclaim national emergency on the grounds of internal disturbance, armed rebellion. If India declares war against China or Pakistan, it is empowered to proclaim national emergency based on war or external aggression. So these are the two different types. Next point is there are some limitations on the fundamental rights in the Constitution itself. That is Article 31A, 31B, and 31C. I'm going to explain in detail about this part in part 5 of my video. The next point is the application of fundamental rights to the armed forces, paramilitary forces, police forces, intelligence agencies can be restricted by the parliament, which this power is provided to the parliament in Article 33, because these are very strategic organizations like Army, Navy, Air Force, paramilitary forces, and the information that are contained in these organizations are very much important for security of the country. Hence, fundamental rights can be restricted to the personnel or people working in this organization. I'm giving an example. Article 19 provides right to freedom of speech and expression, right to form association, right to assembly. But if these rights are extended without restrictions to the armed forces, they may bring undesirable threats to the country's security. Imagine if an army officer reveals to the media about the secret plans of Indian army against the Pakistan army. So unity and integrity will be at threat. So there is some reasonable restrictions in this case. And next point is their application can be restricted wherever martial law is forced in any of the area. Martial law is a military rule where the governance is carried out according to the rule book of the army, not based on civilian governance principles. So these are extended where there are areas severely disturbed by militants like Jammu and Kashmir or some in northeastern states. In the previous discussions, we came across the term state. The Constitution itself defined the word state for enforcement of fundamental rights for the purpose of interpretation of the fundamental rights in Part 3. Hence, Article 12 defines the word state. According to it, the Government of India, the Parliament of India, that is executive and legislature branch of the Union government, as well as the executive and legislative branches of the state government, that is government of the states and legislatures of the state assemblies, as well as local bodies like municipalities, panchayats, district boards, improvement trusts, and also other authorities like statutory and non-statutory authorities like LIC, ONGC, SAIL, GAIL are all considered as the state. So the word state has been given a wider interpretation, wider meaning to include all these agencies and to broaden the enforcement of fundamental rights to all spheres of life. So the importance of this article is that if all these agencies violate the fundamental rights of the citizens or employees, the victim can move to the Supreme Court directly for restoration of fundamental rights. So not only the parliament or the state legislature or government of India or government of any state, but also the municipalities, panchayat, district boards, improvement trusts, statutory organizations, and any institution of public character are bound to follow the rules of the Constitution and also bound to respect the fundamental rights of the citizens of the country while carrying out their day-to-day work and also policies. This Article 12 is very important for upholding the fundamental rights of the citizens and also perpetuating the democratic character of the country. The next part is laws inconsistent with the fundamental rights. Article 13 declares that whichever laws which are inconsistent, which are not in line, not in principle with the fundamental rights, will be declared as void. Means it provides the power, it empowers the Supreme Court and High Court to declare the laws which are inconsistent with the fundamental rights as void and null. And this is called the doctrine of judicial review. This power has been extended to the Supreme Court according to the Article 32 and to the High Court Article 226. Here in Article 13, the term law has been defined. Here the term law means the laws enacted by the parliament or the state legislature, temporary laws or ordinances issued by the president or the state governors, delegated legislations like legislations which are designed by the executive, that is bureaucracy, for carrying out smooth functioning of the government are also included. Bylaws, rules, regulations, and notifications are also included in the term law. Hence, not only the laws designed by the parliament and state legislature, but also the laws and rules designed by the executive, bureaucracy, or municipalities are also covered. And if these laws cross the limit, they will be declared as void by the Supreme Court with the help of the process of judicial review. So the term law is very broad in its interpretation. So it includes all the legislations and rules that came across while governing the country. And some of the fundamental rights are available only to citizens, and some of the fundamental rights are available to both the citizens as well as the foreigners and also the legal persons. So fundamental rights like Article 15, Article 16, Article 19, 20, and 30 are available only to the citizens, whereas from Article 14, 20, 21, 21A, and from Article 22 to 28 will be available to both the citizens as well as the foreigners. I'm going to cover in detail in the future parts, the future videos about these articles. This is it about the introduction to the fundamental rights. So here the important points to remember are the features of the fundamental rights, 7 different fundamental rights like right to equality, freedom, exploitation, and the respective articles, the significance of definition of state according to Article 12, and the significance of Article 13, that is laws inconsistent with the fundamental rights. In the next part, I'm going to cover from right to equality, that is from Article 14 to 18. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something.